Hi guys, don't you love it when a plan comes together? I've been waiting a long time to be able to put all these pieces together so that you can have your very own Bible adventure every day of your life, so that you know that the God of Israel speaks to you and about your life and about how to live a life full and well and happy in Messiah. We all go through difficulties in life, but God is always there protecting us and caring for us, and his word is the way that he talks to us. So I've spent the last week doing something called TLV, Better Bible Habits, right? So there's 7 days in a week, and every single week, the Jewish people read through a portion of the Torah, or the first 5 books of the Bible. So in our Bible, in the Tree of Life Bible, you'll recognize in the Messianic Jewish Family Bible that the names of those readings are right up there. It's called Parshat Vayirah. This is the one that Jewish people are reading today. Today is, I'm going to date and timestamp this so that we can figure it out together. But there's a reason that we color code our Bible, why I'm wearing green today, because I've been training people how to study the Bible for themselves. So obviously this is the Shabbat, right? This is the week of lessons that we've learned and jumped around around the Bible together. But there's where Vayirah is, and Shemot, the week before it, was actually the beginning of the book of Exodus. So you'll notice that we're in Exodus 6 now. But that's how I know. If you ever wonder, why is it that I'm focusing on those readings? It's because the whole Jewish world that reads the Torah together, Genesis through Deuteronomy every year and cycles through it, it's kind of like being on the journey together with the children of Israel. And so, but here's the problem. If all you ever do is read the first 5 books of the Bible, then how do you ever learn about Messiah? Where do you ever get a chance to read the Psalms or sing the scriptures or read a proverb so you make a wise decision, or learn from the mistakes of people who walked against God's ways in the past? Because a lot of the stories in the Bible aren't things you should repeat. They're things you should avoid. And then last but not least, there's the tremendous writings of the followers of Messiah Yeshua, who write all these wonderful letters after the Gospels, right? There's Gospels, Acts, and then the letters. So I've been asked many, many times, how is it that, I know the Bible pretty well? Well, it's not just because we did a translation. It's because I've been an avid reader of the Bible every day for, 30 years. But I don't read it in just one place. So now that we have a Bible that's in the Jewish book order, right? So you're going to have the Old Testament, is what Christians call, the Jewish people call it the Tanakh, the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. You'll notice we actually tab our Bible that way. And then the New Testament, which Jewish believers call the renewed covenant, right? The fulfillment of the Torah and the prophets and the writings, is the Gospels, and then Acts, and then the letters. So that has for us, and of course there's Revelation. And Revelation isn't really just the last book of the Bible, it's the way you're supposed to read it. In a cyclical, revolving, think about it, revolution, revolving, revelation, elevation. So Revelation is how you revolutionize and elevate your walk with God. That's how you live in Revelation. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Here's my Better Bible Habits card. All right, so simple, easy breezy, lemon squeezy. You start with going to the good news. I'm sure like you might hear really good teaching about Yeshua, Jesus every week from somewhere, a pastor you like, a community Bible study you like to go to, a television preacher, or you know what, even better yet, go join a community that loves Yeshua and hang out with them. But the point is, on Sunday, or whatever your first day of the week is, because remember our Shabbat is on Saturday. So if your Shabbat is Sunday, then start the Saturday. But the point is, you figure out the first day of your week leading up to your Sabbath, because the Sabbath is supposed to be your 7th day. And on that first day, it should be right after you've learned something about the Messiah. Now, when you have, look up those verses for yourself. So don't just listen to what somebody else is telling you the Bible says. You got to read it. So we kept the first day, just please read for yourself what someone is teaching you from the Bible, the stories of Yeshua, Jesus. Then, for me, Monday, maybe for you, a different day. But I read the Proverbs in the morning. I read a psalm every week, try to rotate through it in the evening, try to swim in it because it's usually a song. And then I'll add to that a verse to live by. I did that, I think, on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we went and checked out the writings, the stories of all the lessons we've learned, walking with God and falling away from God, and walking with God and falling away from God, those rhythms that you don't want history to repeat itself. So learn history in the Bible. And then Friday, we did a Messianic prophecy. And then Saturday, Shabbat, I actually read the entire Parsha. So in this week's Parsha, we because I knew which Parsha we were going up to, I purposely picked things that would bring you to a place where when you read the Parsha, you'd start to see the patterns that God has in it. So I want to encourage you to read from it's 6:2, all the way through to Parsha Bo, which starts with the locusts. Now, why would they stop in the middle of the plagues? Well, the same reason there's 2 tablets. Because any journey of deliverance takes up the ramp, right? Learning to trust God, and then watching your bad behavior fall away. So if you go back and binge the last few of these that I did, you'll actually be able to go from a place in the Gospels. I'll show you where I was. And then go from a proverb to a psalm to a life verse to a little bit of history, a messianic prophecy, and then join the journey of Israel and learn the patterns. Studying the Torah is not about becoming more Jewish. That is not the purpose of it. Studying the Torah is about figuring out the patterns, just like the patterns of a dress that you'd wear or the patterns of a curtain that you really love. Patterns are set forth in the Torah that show you how to get out of a trap you may be in, a trap in the way you think, a trap in the way you speak, a trap in the way you study, a trap in the way you live. So we're starting up those plagues, and as you read them, I'm going to kind of challenge you to read them this week. I'm not going to do this until the following week because you get 2 weeks to read all 10 of them. But if you would just take the time and read them, you'd begin to see that what started with this tremendous verse. Let me see if I can grab I want to just share this one verse. I started out sharing about this when I started with the Proverbs last Monday, but listen to what happened. So God says to them, he says that he's going to, this is one of my favorite scriptures, 6:6. Therefore say to Bnei Israel, this is what Moses said to the children of Israel because God told him he was going to set them free from 400 years of slavery in Egypt. And it says, I love it. Actually, I'm just going to put my glasses on. You guys will get over it, I'm sure. I just do better with my glasses. All right, here we go. So it says here, I love this. Therefore say to Bnei Israel, I am Adonai, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. I'll deliver you from their bondage. I'll redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. I will take you to myself as a people. I will be your God. You will know that I am Adonai your God, who brought you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. So I'll bring you into the land that I swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and to give it to you as an inheritance. I am Adonai. The next verse is the one that we fought through this week. Moses spoke this way to Bnei Israel, which means the children of Israel, but they did not listen to him because of their broken spirit and cruel bondage. So that's the beginning of the Parsha. So how do you get from there to halfway through the plagues? And then you get a whole week to settle in that space and think about where you'd be in the middle of that trial and tribulation when you think, which way is it going to go, right? Are we going to be set free, or is there going to be even worse happen to us because God isn't really going to do it? Have you ever been in that place? Have you ever been in that valley of decision where you're like, wow, God, it looks like you're letting all these things happen around us and they're confusing to us and they're painful and it doesn't make sense to us. But God is right on the precipice of beginning to show you the difference between those who walk with him and those who suffer because they just won't walk with him and they're busy oppressing God's people. So I'm going to let you know that when we meet again next week, next Saturday, I'm going to point by point, as quickly as I can, work through kind of the pattern that I see in the humbling, right? The humbling of idol worshipers and the lifting up and elevating of God's people. You're going to see it. Now, because we didn't spend Sunday together, I'm going to maybe do another video and stick them all together so that you can see that if you start, I'll give you a hint, because then I'll go back, I'll go there and figure it out with you. But when I knew we were headed toward this Parsha, and I thought to myself, what would my friends who love Yeshua, who love Jesus, and really love our translation, what new covenant story can I use as if like I bet they know this story, but I bet they don't know what the disciples who heard it knew. And if they did, they might hear the story differently. So with that, I'll be back and I will go ahead and show you the story, one of the stories, one of the many times when someone who's totally walking with Yeshua, right there next to him, almost falls into a trap and tries to set one for someone else. Let me show you how that happens, because being trapped by your circumstances, trapped by your words, trapped by your actions, getting out from underneath a yoke of slavery is not simply about physically being held. It's about being captive, even in your mind. How many people do you know have been set free by God, but birdcage doors open? They just don't know how to fly out. Let me show you how to do that. Have a great day.